idea the amount of ignorant mess we're about to get into right now.
Sit your $5 ass down before I make change.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Black on Black Cinema. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Micah.
Hey.
And special guest, Tiara.
Hello.
All right, guys, we're back. This is episode 192, Malcolm and Marie. This is newly released on Netflix. This is a review of Malcolm and Marie. You can watch it on Netflix or in theaters if you live in a place where people behave. All right, so this is described as the 2021 American black and white romantic drama film, written and directed by Sam Levinson, who also writes and directs Euphoria, with Zendaya, and this one is also starring Zendaya and John David Washington. It's basically a movie about a couple going through what could only be described as an argument from hell. The night of John David Washington's character, Malcolm, has released his first film, and he's waiting for like a critical response to it. They just got back from the premiere, and they go back to this house, and things are happening. I'll go to our guest first. What did you think of this movie?
Well, first, Jay, I would just like to say, thank you to you and Micah for letting me on your illustrious show. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Yeah, we got our own celebrity here. Get out of here. One of the three of us has our own television show, but you go. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think it's always just okay it's always good to say thank you to people.
I knew what you were doing. I knew what you were doing.
Get out of here.
I loved it.
Interesting.
Obviously, I'm on the side of the woman because I see things in black and white only.
That's why it's in black and white.
No, I thought it was great. Zendaya is grown. So I know there are people who were looking at the trailer and being like, isn't he too over her? She's 24. And
Yeah.
he's 32? It's fine.
Yeah.
It's all right.
36. I think 24 and 36. Yeah.
Oh.
You're like,
so-
I'd like to recant what I just said.
Whatever. She's still grown enough to make her own decisions. And we're just too used to seeing her play a high schooler. But also, like, she's in Euphoria, which is not a kid's show. So,
Right.
yeah. But I loved it. And I would watch it again.
Okay. Micah, your thoughts?
I enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed it very much. This is one of them pandemic movies where it was wholly conceived from the brain of the director / writer to being put on Netflix. This was entirely done within the pandemic. It was like a 22-person crew.
Yeah.
So this is and this is these are great performances by two really good actors. I love the black and white. It looks beautiful. The set that they have, that house is just I love it. Love it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Gorgeous.
I think that the movie is good, but I do have some issues with it. Ironically, like there's, you look at the reviews of this movie and the critics hate it, or maybe not hate it, but they have some feelings. They are, as we say in the DMV, butt hurt. And while I, at the risk of sounding like one of them, I feel like if the criticism that the movie does about film criticism, like as much as I enjoyed that, I feel like if that was gone from the movie and we just focused on the argument that these two are having, I think it would have made for a tighter movie, but it also would have kind of messed up the pacing. Like I understand part of the reason it's there is to kind of break up, to kind of give you an intermission between these two people who are going for like this verbal heavyweight bout. And I understand that, but I feel like the movie would flow a little better if that was taken out and, something else was there that didn't take as long to kind of break up the the round versus, the round per round structure that this movie has. But yeah, I dug it, man. I really enjoyed it. And I highly recommend it. We were talking about this before we started. Yeah, watch it with the person you care about, because you never know, right? Like this might be the thing that gets you to start talking, and that's the thing that erodes relationships, is that there's no communication. Every bad relationship that I've been in has always been about has always had poor communication. And the reason that my wife and I are as good as we are is because we don't talk. We talk. We don't let things just kind of fester.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like at the beginning of the movie, when Maria's like, we need to talk about this later because ain't nothing good gonna happen. My wife and I don't do that. Like, we don't go to bed mad. We don't go to bed angry. And if we gotta hash it out, we gotta hash it out. So anyway, this is a really good movie. I highly recommend it.
Okay, I will take the opposite approach. Everything that John David Washington says in this movie is correct. Everything Zendaya says is wrong. That's how it works, right? This we have to take sides. No, I loved it. I thought it was really great. Look, they're acting, right? Like, you got to say it twice. There's nothing moving the plot along except for their performances, right? Like, there really isn't. There's no like, oh, it's a fucking CGI character, or like, some other, novelty nonsense. It's just it's a conversation between two adults. I agree that you do have to have the sort of like the film director critiquing film criticism part, because you do need a break, right? You need something that the audience can go, okay, this is not about the two of them.
Right.
This is about a third party who is not physically present in the movie, but is looming over the film, or looming over the story, I should say. And, well, ironically, looming over the film and the story, like inside and outside of the film, right? And you kind of allow the audience to agree with the two characters. They find, because anytime there's like a criticism of the film industry, that's when they're in agreement. And it's like the one time that they're okay with each other. And that to me is like bringing the audience, everybody back. If there's sort of like a gender wars feeling about it, is to bring everybody back and go, yeah, but fuck those people, right? And everyone's like, yeah, fuck them. We're going to get back to our shit, but like, fuck them, right? And so that I think does need to exist. I 100%, as I was watching it, thought, oh, critics are not going to like this. I hadn't read any reviews or seen anything. But I knew they wouldn't. Just like critics love and Hollywood loves to sort of fillet itself when it's about a positive Hollywood story, whatever that story may be, which is why those movies win Oscars all the time, right? Fighting through adversity to make this movie, and they're like, this movie deserves an Oscar, right? Like, they love movies like that for the same reason that they hate movies like this, because it turns the mirror on them. Critics are not used to being criticized. Like, it's ironic, but I mean, in a way, it doesn't make sense, right? That's just never their position. But as a movie, as the story between these two characters, oh, I loved it. It was so good. And I like the fact that it's even-handed, because so many times in movies like this, you make a hyper villain out of one character and a hyper angel out of the other. And then everyone's like, I hate that person. And then like, you're weirdly trying to justify like maybe some things that the bad character did. You're like, well, maybe that part was making sense. And people are like, no, fuck that character, right? Yeah. But there's so much of this movie where you go, oh, she wildin'. Like you gotta relax. Like, you are reading way too much into some stuff, and then he's like not reading into anything. I'm like, yo, you didn't see how this was a problem? So I like that it was even-handed, because I came away at the end not hating either one of the characters. Right. Not particularly like I don't know if pity is the right word, probably not. Like, I empathized with both of them, right? Here he is trying to make it in this very white centric business, and he's trying to keep his like who he is as a director and as an artist, but also wanting to be successful and making this movie that he thought would reach people. But at the same time, here she is kind of put in this nebulous situation where her experiences are being used, and then she's not feeling like she's being appreciated about, for that. It's complex. I thought the characters had good sides and bad sides. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. And yes, to Micah's point, who you're an architecture fanatic. Yeah, the house is fucking gorgeous. Jesus Christ,
yeah,
it's so beautiful.
I dug it, man.
Yeah, it's like to me, it's like the third character, right? Like really the third character in the movie. The location isn't just that the house is beautiful. It is.
Right.
But it allows for many scenes of them inside, one of them outside, and because it's all glass and it's all windows. Like, so then one character's outside and then one character's inside, and like the different perspectives, even at the very end, you're shooting from the inside the house to outside the house. Or the scene, we'll talk about where Malcolm is going on that huge rant about critics, and he's literally stepping in and out of the house, and it's like changing the sound of the scene. That was fucking awesome. Like, it was really, really cool. And it just looked beautiful. Like, overall, it looked beautiful. I literally, at one point, when the two of them are sitting outside, and she's sitting out there with her nipples pointing dead ahead. I mean, look, sorry. She's a grown person. It's fine. I feel a little weird about it, but she's a grown person. That scene where they're sitting there, I literally just looked at it and I was like, God, I love black people. Like, that scene just looked so fucking beautiful. Just the two of them sitting there when they're just not even saying anything, and they're trying to figure out what they're going to say next. It just looked so fucking good. It just looked fantastic. So yeah, I loved it. So, fuck critics, I guess, as we give a critical view of this movie in a second. Yeah.
I thought actually the house, so yeah, I also agree about the house, but the space in the house kind of reminded me, it's kind of was like a metaphor for their relationship, of just how much space there is between them, as well as the isolation of the house. Clearly they live pretty much in the middle of nowhere. Right. And it felt like, okay, is this how they're both feeling respectively in their own relationships, isolated, and feel like there's this huge just delta between them. Right.
Well, it's like he says that the house, it's not their house. They're staying there.
It's by the studio.
Yeah. So it's like, but I agree with you. Like, I think, I saw one comment about it, and they were saying, well, everything is so stark, and, they're so, the atmosphere of the house is so stark, but I think that's on purpose. I don't think it's inconvenient that these people who, like you said, have this gulf of space between them and their understanding are living in a house that barely has anything in it because one, it's also not theirs, but it's supposed to be so symbolizing of that. So yeah, I look, it's early in 2021, but loved it. I just absolutely loved it. I thought it was fantastic, and I 100% will watch it again. I don't understand the notion of what's that?
It was nominated for a Golden Globe.
Was it? Okay. I'm not sure.
So. Or something. I know it was nominated for something. I think it was a Golden Globe. So. Yeah.
I see this movie being hard snubbed come Oscar time. No.
Oh, right. No, I'm sorry. I think it was one of the snubs. That's what it was.
Yeah. That does not surprise me.
Because the Golden Globes are done by the Hollywood Foreign Press. There you go. There you go.
A word. This is what he got to say. Yeah, fuck him. Yeah. No.
So one more thing before we dive into the actual movie, but I would actually like to see this on the stage. Jay, before we started, you were like, you could see Denzel Washington playing this.
Oh, 100%.
And as soon as you said that, I was thinking it'll probably be him and Viola Davis playing
the same characters.
Playing the same characters. But I think this could work. On a stage, it feels like a play to me. Absolutely. So if there's anything that comes from this, I hope that other actors bring this to Broadway, whatever, when it's safe.
I would I would see that. I would absolutely see that movie with other actors just to, or see that play done with
Yeah.
other people's, style. Look, I'm not gonna lie. I would watch the fuck out of Malcolm and Marie starring Viola Davis and Denzel Washington. Get the fuck out of here. Absolutely.
Ooh.
Oh, they would have tore it up. But there's so much here
Yeah.
about their relationship that's fucked up, about
Yeah.
perspective, taking people for granted, which is a big part of it. Sort of ego and a reliance on another person, sort of
Yeah.
being, letting that person sort of drag you through life and resenting them weirdly in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I would 100% see this with a different cast.
And also life experience. So one of the criticisms that was about the age gap that Sam Levinson addressed was he said that the age gap is actually part of the movie. It's part of the DNA of the film, which is why they reference her age several times in some of the arguments. So
Yeah.
I'll get more into it once we get there.
Okay. All right.
It's weird because I didn't see some 24-year-old, right? The way Zendaya plays his character, it is she's been through it, and she has a certain level of her performance has a certain level of maturity. Now, look, I haven't seen Euphoria. I don't know a lot of other things that Zendaya is in. You know what I've seen her in? Playing a high schooler in Spider-Man. So that's the only other thing that I have to go off of. And if she has this thing about her that people kind of typecast her, they think of her as a child. I didn't see that at all in this movie.
No, because that 36-year-old nigga was biting your ass. That is not a young person.
Well, Mike, I'll say this, so Euphoria, her character in Euphoria has a drug problem. It's a bunch of high schoolers, but it's very adult for high schoolers. And what I was thinking of, I was like, okay, her character is if her character in Euphoria got clean and met John David.
Right,
Washington.
that's what I was thinking. I was like, is she playing? Is she playing the character? Right, like that's kind of what I thought. I was like, is this just a continuation of Euphoria years later? And then she meets him, and then it's like, we're gonna make a movie about it, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of wild. Maybe Sam Levinson has a real thing for I need to do only things dealing with people who were former drug addicts.
And she's played angsty people, even in Spider-Man. Her character's kind of angsty and
she is
sort of broken.
Yeah, she's very standoffish and stuff like that. But no, man, I great performances. I'm a little more impressed with hers just because of the only thing I've seen. I've seen John David Washington before, and he delivers good performances, and this is on the upper end of his spectrum of good performances. But I really dug Zendaya in this.
And they both apparently worked on sort of shaping the script. Her especially. Apparently, so.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later because Sam Levinson, if you couldn't tell by the last name, is not a black person.
Oh, what is he? What is he, Micah?
He's Asian, isn't he?
Korean specifically.
Wow.
I assume Sam Levinson's name sounds pretty global.
Global. Interesting.
But he gets sole credit for writing the script, and he did an interview with Esquire UK, and they asked him about writing for two black characters, and he said no. He has faith in the collaborative process and in his partners that if he were to write something that doesn't feel true, John David Washington or Zendaya would, they would be honest and they would pull him up and say, "This ain't it, Chief." Nah.
And
so,
that to me, I think, is important to note, right?
Right.
There's arguments of he's using black people to tell a white man's grievance. Nah, he didn't make it without them talking about it.
Right.
I think all of that stuff about how black film directors are pigeonholed into making what's considered a black movie when they're just trying to maybe make a movie that doesn't have like a hard race component to it.
Right.
Yo, have you listened to black directors talk? Like, that's what they talk about, like being pigeonholed. And they want to make an expansive amount of things, and they want to be allowed to do that. Like, I don't know, have you like looked at Ava DuVernay's work? Like, yeah, she's very much a black director. She's trying to make New Gods for DC. It's not a black movie. Like, it's not. Like, she's trying to branch
political
out.
either.
It doesn't have to be political.
So, which was a big part of it, yeah.
Right. And then she went and did, Selma, right? Like, so
she did A Wrinkle in Time and Selma. Like, those two movies are on her resume.
Well, Micah, if you look at A Wrinkle in Time, it is about how a little black girl can just dare to dream big or something.
It was apparently not a good movie. That's fine.
And look, as much as I think the movie would be would be a tighter movie if it didn't have the film critique in it.
Right.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Like, I can't be too mad because I absolutely loved it. Like when they during those breaks, when they were just like, yeah, but fuck white women though, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, like, I got it.
Hey, I thought about you two specifically. When he went on his little rant against critics, I was like, wow, like did Jay and Micah have a hand in that?
This is every black man. This is every black man. At that moment, man, I was like, he is speaking through me. Or I'm speaking through him. No, there's a lot of this shit he was saying. I was like, I was just nodding my head. You right?
And some white critic from the LA Times was like, you shouldn't use black people to voice the criticisms against the system that helps these people of color.
Right, yo. I was like, he literally at one point was like, let me write the headline for you. And I'm like, I look at pieces about it. I'm like, that's what he said. That's what he said. And they did it because they can't help themselves.
He's the next John Singleton and every other black director.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I look, I'd be interested to know exactly like lines like that, right? Comparing him to Spike Lee or to John Singleton, stuff like that. I'm wondering if that was Sam Levinson's work, or did they come in, Zendaya and John David Washington were like, why don't you put this in? Like, cause it's interesting. I mean, I know we're taking a long time to do this sort of upfront before we get into the story, but like, if I'm looking at, I don't know. Again, Zendaya hasn't been around that long, and neither has John David Washington as these sort of mainstream actors. But I can't help but think that John David Washington has watched his father's career, and I'm sure has heard intimate conversations with his dad about Hollywood. Mm-hmm. His dad worked his ass off and still does to break out of just a black actor mold, and he did. Right? Everybody knows who the fuck Denzel Washington is. He makes Denzel movies, right? Like, it's like Tom Cruise. That's a Tom Cruise movie, right? Who cares what the title is? Tom Cruise is in that movie. Denzel is in that movie. I'm going to see that shit, right? Black, white, whatever. People go see his stuff. So, like, that idea of trying to just make film and to not be pigeonholed doesn't mean you don't do Malcolm X. It doesn't mean you don't do things that are, Spike Lee films that are directed at black issues, but you also want to be able to do things that are not always political. Like that rant, I'm like, so clearly some of this you've heard from your father. Like, that's all it felt like to me. So, and you made the point, Tiara, before we started, like, you didn't feel like all of those critiques about critics was just about white critics.
Nope. I felt like this.
So go ahead and get yourself in trouble with Black Twitter. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's not just the white critics, though. It's also black critics who take something that does not have a specific race component, but it's turned into something that's political and therefore not as enjoyable as it was meant to be. So I'm wondering how black critics are also taking that rant too. Because I'm like, y'all kind of do the same thing on Twitter with your hot takes. And I'm like, that's a reach. So yeah.
I mean, I've done it. Right, like, cause I can't help but to see race in certain things now. but I, you'll never hear me go off on like a hot take of, why this is, I don't see too much into it. I don't miss the forest through the trees. You know what I'm saying? I try to see the bigger picture and not just dwell down in this minutia. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know. Look, it's like 1 a.m. and Malcolm and Marie, they come home from a movie premiere. Apparently, everyone was kissing Malcolm's ass, and this white this ain't just me being, they made mention like this is a white female reporter from the L.A. Times film critic.
Her name is Susan Smith. I'm like, God damn.
Right. Which I think Dan Levinson's feature directorial debut, Assassination Nation, was panned by LA Times freelance critic Katie Walsh. So I'm guessing he got some shit to get off his chest.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I tried to watch that movie. It wasn't good. Like, I just didn't get it. Like, I was like, and I love violence, but I was like, this is not good. Now, Euphoria seems great, but like, don't hold Assassination Nation as you're like that. Don't make that the hill to die on, dog. Like, don't do that. You better than that. Like, a lot better.
And yeah, we get backstory that oh well, that white female critic from the LA Times hated my first movie and loves this movie and we get some backstory, and the two of them are talking, and they're kind of settling in. Zendaya is making mac and cheese, and I'm like, yo, you making mac and cheese? You almost done with the mac and cheese? Like, what are you doing?
So I felt like the mac and cheese thing was one, hilarious. But before we get there, I'm gonna need to I need to say this to any director who is listening. This is just a personal pet peeve of mine. It is completely unnecessary to show people using the bathroom. I don't know why it's a new thing. It drives me crazy. I don't need to see her sitting on the toilet taking a piss. I just don't. It's unnecessary to the story. It's unnecessary. Like, I don't need to hear urine hitting the bowl for authenticity. I just don't. It's gross. It's gross. That's my main issue with this entire movie.
That part?
Yo, look, everything else, it's fine. Stop showing people taking a piss. It's unnecessary.
Okay.
It's not.
All right. There was some feet stuff in here too.
Oh, I didn't like that. Didn't care.
No. Too late. You already said everything else is fine, so it's cool.
I'll take the feet over pissing. I just will. It's a hard line for me. Yeah, I thought the macaroni and cheese thing, her making it was just funny from the perspective of here she is in this beautiful gown and like he's in a suit, and it's like, what is the least glamorous food I could make? Oh yes, that's right. Kraft macaroni and cheese.
Mac and cheese.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
Ain't an oven
cheese,
come on the
gross.
first. It's not macaroni and cheese. This is how I know a white man wrote and directed this movie. This is the least black part of this entire film. You ain't gonna put the oven on? Like you ain't even gonna bake it?
Nope.
Right out of a pot. Okay.
Nope. Cheese food, powdered cheese food.
So it's very obvious that Marie is perturbed about something. And Malcolm just don't get it, right? Like, he ready to smash. He ready to eat ass. Like, this dude is so happy. He is ready to eat ass in the kitchen. And she's just like, here, take this macaroni and cheese. And he's like, what's wrong? And she was like, anyway. And I forget the exact line, but basically she says, you forgot to thank me in your speech.
Yeah, boy, I was like, ooh, nigga, you fucked all the way up. Oof. You got to write that speech down, man. And you better put your wife or girlfriend at the top of it.
Yeah, like, I know black people are used to thanking God first, but like, you can thank your spouse first and then God. You know what I mean? You can.
or you do your spouse last and then you blow it out. Yeah, you just blow it all the way out.
Yeah,
but if you do it last, then you run the risk of one, forgetting, or two, being played off.
That's a good point.
I mean,
See,
sure, but
this guy's been married before.
Or like you could just run through like everyone who's insignificant and then save the larger part of your speech.
That's what you're supposed to do.
And that's what, Matthew McConaughey did that with his wife, like took 2 minutes to thank his wife.
Yeah.
Look, this is what you're supposed to do, right? You got to thank the producers first, right?
Yeah, that's the money.
Right, that's the money.
Right.
That's why what's her name got blackballed or whatever, because she ain't thanked the
Monique.
She ain't thanked the producers. Like, nah, you got to go on this tour, you got to promote this movie, you got to thank these producers, right? And she ain't do that. So and then you thank everybody. All right, thanks to the key grip and all the other grips, and thanks to craft services and all that. Fine, and then you blow it up, especially given the nature of this movie and the dynamics between the two people.
Yeah, I'd have made sure that was in there. You can't afford to forget that, man. But that's a good reveal, right? And that's why we had been talking before we started recording. Like, that's why I don't think review should, like, if you're trying to have a non-spoiler review, obviously that's not what this is. But, like, don't give away the fact that that's why they're arguing, because it's a huge fucking point. Because I'm like, damn, she's really mad. My man's dancing to James Brown. He's having a great night. And then she was like, you forgot me in speech. I was like, oh, nigga, she right. Now you fucked up. Like, you immediately.
And not just that. It's when you find out what the movie is about.
Yeah, that makes it even worse.
That's when it was. At first, I was like, all right, he forgot to thank you, but like he apologized profusely. You said it was okay.
Yeah, she hit him with a cockroach. She hit him with a cockroach, right?
But then she was like, but it's about me though. And I'm like,
also, I think it's also important to say, like, she said she was fine, but she changed her mind because everyone else was like, I know you mad.
Yeah,
including fucking Taylor, who she does that bitch she don't like was like, girl, I don't read too much into it that he didn't thank you. Like, yeah, she probably was like, yeah, okay, he probably forgot, But as soon as that bitch came up and was like, don't read too much into it, and then his mother was like, girl, I know you must be upset. Yeah,
she came up, she was like, I was cool with it. Until all of them said I shouldn't be cool with it. Then I just got uncool with it.
And I mean,
I get it. I get it.
And it's also like the way that he kind of like belittles some of her choices in film. And there's like a little line where he's like, you don't work in film. And I was like, yo, okay. I was like, all right. At some point watching this film, I actually got up and I left my living room because I was like, all right, cool. I was like, yeah.
Damn, you felt disrespected through the screen. You're like, I feel disrespected for her. I have to go.
Speaking of disrespect, like there's a lot of disrespect going on. One,
you can't argue
macaroni and cheese, right? Kraft macaroni and cheese, disrespectful. Okay. But he's sitting there eating this Kraft macaroni and cheese. He's just hoofing it down, right?
He's so mad. He's so mad.
This nigga got the nerve to say, Marie, she's off camera in the bedroom or whatever. You know what your problem is? You crazy. Like, what are you doing, yo? What are you doing? What are you doing, dude?
I love that scene because like it's funny, right? Like there's part of it that's just quite funny because of how angry he is and just being ridiculous. But the level of arrogance that you have to have, because she points it out, like you can compartmentalize that you're having an argument with me and that I'm crazy, but you eating the Kraft macaroni and cheese I made your ass.
Made him. Right. I mean, she pays so much attention to detail for that Kraft macaroni and cheese. She was like, "Do you want salted or unsalted butter?" And I'm like,
"Girl, it don't matter. Like, why you even care? Get out of here." It's Kraft macaroni and cheese.
He got seconds.
Yeah, right. I'm so mad at you.
Like, girl, you unstable. And it's like, also that was just such a Denzel moment from like Fences or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, this this man, he doesn't understand how badly he fucked up.
I mean,
And how bad he's still fucking up.
He was hungry though.
That shit was fucking hard. Did you get seconds? No. Like, yes, you did.
So also, like, she was like, it's 1 a.m. Can we just eat and go to bed? I didn't see her eat not one thing.
No, she didn't.
Not one thing. And he didn't ask her, hey, like, I noticed that you're not eating. Do you want a bowl too? Like,
no, I wouldn't ask that. Nah, nope.
Like,
nah, if I was him, nah, you eat if you want to eat. Look, you're an adult. You mad. You mad. Look, here, let me tell you. Let me give you
cordial shit.
Right.
Like, no, it's our house. You eat what you want. I don't have to ask you for nothing.
Right. You a grown ass woman. Your titty's gonna be out in a few minutes. You a grown ass woman. Knock it off.
So that grown ass woman just made a grown ass man some mac and cheese.
Right. No. Look, if I dabbled in misogynoir, I would say she should, because he is a king and he has been working all day, which is ridiculous. No, what
he hates black women.
I do not. But that scene, like, a little insight to me. If I was Malcolm, I would be so angry. I wouldn't have eaten that macaroni and cheese. I just wouldn't have eaten it out of spite. Cool, you made it? Fuck you. I'm not eating it. Like, I just wouldn't have eaten it. Nah, we in an argument. I'll starve myself. I'm going to go home. I'm going to go to bed hungry.
I wouldn't have never made it, though. Like, I mean, I just would have
hell
let,
no.
Let,
hell
let
no.
him. Like, no. But also, like, I'm very vocal if I'm upset, so we would have just already hashed this out, like, on the way back or whatever. So.
You not even letting them get in the house. You screaming in the car.
No. This is we're having this conversation in the car. I don't want to publicly embarrass anybody. I don't like that. But in the car, we would talk about it, and also I don't raise my voice, so I don't. All this stuff that's happened in this movie is a no-go for me.
So I do raise my voice, but I've learned not to raise my voice. My wife is not an arguer in that way.
Please take this in with as much respect as a friend, as a friend for over a quarter of a century, nay, a brother.
Here we go.
I saw you and your wife having. I can imagine you and your wife having arguments like this.
No,
you're both strong-willed people.
Yeah, that's true.
You love to argue.
I do.
You love it. You love to argue.
It's
and
the
your
one.
Wife is incredibly patient.
With me, sure. No. No, we would never have something like this. No, because I'm not saying no wild shit this nigga says out of his mouth. Are you crazy?
You're not gonna call your wife an emotional support dog.
Well, he asked. Was she?
No.
He asked.
No.
So you're an emotional fucking support dog then? Now, he asked it in a way that was more of a statement.
No.
But that's not my problem. I'm not judging.
No. This
that was such an asshole thing to say too. I was like, don't do that. Don't do that.
You know what? Look, there was definitely some hitting below the belt moments here.
Yo, like 95% of the words that came out of their mouth was below the belt.
But you know what though? Don't call me an animal. Don't call me a dog of all things.
Yeah, that's not a good move.
That's especially she's a black woman too. You don't call a black woman an animal like that.
Yeah.
Or at all.
Yeah, look, I know my wife and I could never have an argument like that. No, I look like she makes a point about Malcolm. She was like, can we just go to bed? Nothing good is going to come of this. You are incapable of de-escalation. I was like, all right, that feels.
That's you, yo.
Yeah, that feels like that hits a little close to home. Like I didn't need my life put into this script. I need Zendaya to mind her damn business. No, I'm generally not a de-escalator. That's just not my thing. Like I live by my great grandmother's adage, which is quicker war, quicker peace. Like that's how I am.
Well, we all know which one you choose.
Yeah, like look, we got to fight. Like, it is what it is. But I don't do the yelling anymore.
Yeah.
My wife was not raised in a household that does that. She does not know how to react well to that. So I have been learned to let that part of my aspect of arguing go.
Man, shout out to Charlamagne.
Last thing about
I don't do it. I just don't do it.
Last thing about this one scene, then we'll move on. I think the lines, "What a cunt! This mac and cheese is delicious."
Yeah,
need to be in some sort of film Hall of Fame.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good. But you know, she has a moment right after that where she's like, you have empathy for everyone except me. For, you know, you think everyone except for me, like the Gavs, the Key Grip, the producers, the actress who played this character. You have empathy for all of them. You even have empathy for fucking fictional characters, but you don't have it for me. And like that whole thing, I think, is important, like to their relationship as it's presented. Like, he is wholly focused on work. And it's so easy. I think this is universal to anybody who's been in a long relationship. Like, it is very easy to end up, you know, whether on purpose or, you know, mistakenly, to hurt people who are closest to you because you know them, right? Like, you know them better than you know anybody. It would be like, I wouldn't do this, but like he has that moment later on, which we'll talk about, where he's standing over her in the bathtub and he's like, I can hurt you way worse than you can hurt me, right? He's like, I can break you like a twig. See, that's some psycho shit you would say. And like, he's right, not about like whether he could be really mean to her, more mean to her than she can be to him, but that you can hurt somebody you really care about because you know exactly what their triggers are. I could go upstairs right now and say some real hurtful shit to my wife, like, but I wouldn't because I'm not a piece of garbage. But yeah, I know things about her because we're close, because we've been married for fucking 10 years, right? Like, so, that's a part of it, right? They've been dating. I think this movie says they've been dating for 5 years. So yeah, you know somebody really well at that point, and all of the deep seated shit that they have, like, because everybody has shit you don't care for, things that people do in a long relationship. You just don't say that shit. Keep that shit in your back pocket and you just leave it there. You're not supposed to use it as a weapon. And the problem is they weaponize all of that shit in this conversation. Like, it's a lot. And I'm like, oof, y'all need to just.
Well, yeah, that, and also, like, you could tell she feels invisible in their relationship, right? Because she said, like, right after that, you know, I think when you love someone, you know someone is always there for you, you forget about them. So therefore, like, you know, I also felt like his willingness to be a better person for other people out that aren't her makes me feel like that he sees like he's getting something out of those relationships that he is no longer getting out of his relationship with her. Like, it seems very transactional. So him being empathetic to fictional characters or to the people in the industry, that makes sense because he is trying to raise his own stardom. Whereas, like, I feel like with her, especially since we now know that he's known her since basically she was like 19 years old. Yeah. I feel like there's like sort of like a power thing there where he feels like, yeah, you're not really going anywhere. You're broken. I met you when you were broken. Right. So, and I fixed you. So, you know, of course I can sort of say anything that I want. I could be my worst self to you because you're not going anywhere. Because you owe me. Yeah. Basically. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Like, he doesn't come out and say it. Like, he does a good job of dancing around it. Mm-hmm. But come on, yo. Yeah. Come on. Like,
that's exactly what he said.
Yeah, yo.
Yeah, without me, you'd be nothing.
Right.
You'd be dead.
Right.
But he also kind of reveals that he has sort of that thing in I've seen in a lot of people, broken bird syndrome, right? You choose people who are broken because you need to feel needed. Right. And I think that's very much who his character is. And she is a broken bird. She is the textbook version of a broken bird, someone getting over drug addiction at 19, right? Like, yeah. And she hasn't been able to fully come out of that either because she's always been with this guy who is, you know, taking care of her. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's also that need to be needed. It also shows up in his personal life too, because before he even sees what people are saying about his film, he's like sort of like ranting and raving about how great he's going to be, about how he's already picking fights with critics in his head, and they haven't even said anything about his film.
Yeah, no, that feels like me. I was like, I get it.
Yeah, so just that heavy level of narcissism. Yeah.
I'm true to form. What can I say?
Yeah.
I love this movie. This guy's making a lot of good points.
I see myself. Representation matters.
It does. It does. Yeah, no, he is a massive narcissist.
Yeah.
He just is. He's a massive narcissist. So
That's the end of round one. And
ding, ding,
they
ding.
kind of take a break to do what all black people do when they need to unite. They shit on white people. This is
Awesome.
this is the first of that.
I do kind of love that. Like that's a perfect explanation of like two black people arguing and being like, "You want to take a break? Yeah, let's take a break." You know what? Fuck white people for a second. Yeah, I know. You want to listen to some music? Yeah, this shit is hitting. And you're like, all right, I'm done with that. Let's get back to it. It basically is that. I do kind of love that. Yeah. So they're making out and they are having this conversation about like the LA Times and like, like what this white woman will say about his movie and the horrors of what black people go through in this system about the mental health and the mental health industry and all this other shit, and how he's going to end up directing a Lego movie and saying that it's representing the failure of Reconstruction. It'll be called 40 Legos and a Mule or whatever. Yeah, I was rolling. That shit was funny.
Angela Davis movie with Legos.
Yeah. Would you like to see that Angela Davis movie? And it's just, I think it is almost impossible for me to believe that Sam Levinson wrote all of that without their input. It's impossible for me to believe that. I think they're two up and coming Hollywood stars, and they've seen what it's like getting black films made. John David Washington, saw it, throughout his whole life, I'm sure. And then, there was a recent article that Zendaya was basically saying she's spending all of the pandemic just turning down all of these roles that are like pigeonholing women and pigeonholing black women and stuff like that, and only taking stuff that she thought that she could like really expand conversation. So yeah, they see it firsthand as to what it's like. I don't know why people think that only Sam Levinson is the only one working on this movie. Like, it's clear that that's not true. And I don't, for that guy, I think in The Guardian, that like black critic to say that, I'm like, that seems to miss the entire point. And it almost like weirdly on purpose to levy charge against it.
I mean, like, kind of taken from what Malcolm said in a movie, he's like, these lazy ass writers and critics. That's basically what it is. It's lazy analysis.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So then Marie, as Malcolm is, drinking and singing, alone on the couch, she leaves and he doesn't know where she is. She comes back. She was outside taking a piss. Again, I'm not sure why that's relevant to me. They enter round two, and round two is, this is basically like you're a quitter, right? Like, he literally goes into this whole thing because the last fight she ended, right? She fucking wrecked him while he was eating macaroni and cheese, and she was like, done and done. This is over. And so then the next fight, Malcolm gets to come at her, and he's basically saying like, "You've quit. You were pathetic when I met you. You were like this, this pill popping 20-year-old. You couldn't stay awake in a conversation. You were a mess. You tried to cut your wrist with nail scissors and all that. Like, like basically pulling up all of her trauma and throwing it in her face, which is super unacceptable. Like, people have to learn how to fight in relationships too. Like, that's a thing. Like, it's a real thing. You can't just be like, I'm gonna scream some wild shit to you and then like you gonna take it and we be all right tomorrow. You can't say shit like that. Like the more you know a person, the harder it is to fight with them. Like to fight fair, right? Like, you talk about the shit that's going on. You don't talk about You can't bring up shit from 5-6 years ago and then just throw it in somebody's face. It's fucked up.
Yeah, and that's how I fight, which is why I don't do it. Like I just sit and I just
2006. I'll tell you what you did.
I take in inventory, and I will hold it. I will hold it, and God help me if I have to use it, because we're probably going to be done.
Don't do that.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, it starts off with her coming out swinging, right? Because she won the last round. So she's like,
oh, yeah, I got this nigga on the ropes.
Get this nigga, right? And she's like, so why don't you get jealous? Like you're both needy and what'd she say? That you're the most needy man,
the neediest and the least jealous.
Right. And it's like, what, what's up with that, right? Like, and then she breaks down, why he is a needy person and all that, and then he's like, we gonna do this because you don't want to do this, right? And she's just like, no, tell me why I gave up, right? And this is the part where he calls her an emotional support dog, which
wouldn't
have gone there.
Nah.
And she the
fact that she ain't smack him across his face is like shocking to me.
Her fuck you to him, I felt that in my chest. I was like, yeah, that's a real fuck you moment.
Yeah.
Was this also when she called him mediocre and said that he stole the story?
I think that's later. I think that's
okay.
I think that's a little later. Right now, they are, he is talking to her. He's basically getting into her personal life, right? Like when I found you were this drug addict, and you aren't happy where you are, playing the same, skinny concerned nurse, or because she wanted to act, right? But she got out of acting. And he says that, you gave up on that. And, it's not about where you start. And she goes on and says, you got people out here thinking that you go through you know what it's like to go through struggle,
right?
Nigga, your dad is a
professor or some shit,
an actor.
Professor. Your mom is a therapist, and your sister works at a think tank.
Yeah.
Like you are the furthest thing from oppressed. You have never been oppressed,
right? Like, and what did she say? Like, you have more privilege than the white woman working for Vanity Fair or whatever. It's like, oof. Yeah, it's. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, that part also felt like they took some pieces from John David Washington's life a bit. That felt more.
Yeah. I mean, he is definitely not an actor who's struggled,
right?
Like to get any level of chance. I mean, as far as I can tell, I don't know what the guy's like. That early stuff was, right? Like, I mean, I'm not going to pretend to do that. But yeah, you certainly have the benefit of being born, in Hollywood royalty, basically. Right. Like as much of Hollywood royalty as a black person can be, to be Denzel Washington's son and be an actor, that's about as close as you ever
and
get.
he had to lie to people to say, that's not my dad. My dad is in prison.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. He didn't tell people his dad was Denzel Washington when he started his acting career.
Good for him. I mean, I would have.
Sounds just like the nigga, but whatever.
They'd be like, yo, this is a wild Denzel impression. Like, you're really good. Have you met Denzel Washington? Nah, see, he's different from me. Now I'm going to use that. Denzel Washington is my dad. I'd like to read for this part. Go ahead. What's the role? Did he interview for this? Damn, all right. No, I'd use it. Fuck that. White people use nepotism to make it all the time. We should never be ashamed of that. Fuck that. But it's, I mean, he's just basically reading out this whole idea of like, like you cheated on me, and I stood by you and all this other stuff. And again, this is the broken bird syndrome, right? He needs to feel needed. So he needs to point out all of the ways in which she needed him to literally survive so that he can stand above her and just be like, see, you're welcome. I shouldn't be thanking you. You should be thanking me. Like that's kind of the fundamental about why he's sorry, but he ain't that sorry about not thanking you, thanking her, because he's like, bitch, you should be thanking me. You're welcome.
Right.
what I did for you. But it's like, that ain't how it works, dog. Like, no, never. It's unfair to men, is what I'm saying.
All right, okay.
Get the fuck out of here.
All right.
I'm
Michael,
kidding.
Please,
Relax.
Michael, please continue.
So
Men
at
get
one
it.
point,
What about men's rights is what I'm asking.
so at one point, she calls him mediocre, right?
Nah, yeah. Don't do that.
Because after the whole, you a trust fund baby, right? Like, and your work is mediocre. There's no authenticity to it, and then they go away for a while because that was like, ooh, that was a haymaker. Woo!
Yeah.
He said,
It's like he was on the ropes for a second. He was like, yo.
I just had the scene just replay, and she was like, you have nothing new to say.
She laughed. She laughed when she said that shit.
You have there's no gravitas to you. I was like, ooh, girl, ooh, you might want to just pull back a little bit, call him mediocre, like. But then of course that's the
and
one.
She was so she was like, she feeling good about herself, like not feeling good about herself, but you know what I mean, right? Like she
getting in a good couple of body blows. That's what's
right. So she rewards herself with a bath, and then this nigga comes up, and I mean, he begins to sing that DMX song, "What These Bitches Want From Me."
Right? Yo, that's not acceptable behavior.
This character is based off of Brenda, Letitia, Linda, Felicia, Dawn, LaShawn, Inez, Alicia. I was like, yo, what the fuck are we doing, yo? What are you doing?
Yo, that is a relationship ending move, yo. Like, that shit was wild. I was like, please stop.
Like you are not the first broken bitch I've ever dated.
Yo, I was like, and he was talking about having sex with some woman, I assume in the Poconos in a heart-shaped tub.
Marriott.
Right. He was talking about this woman he took to Barcelona.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a bike ride with you. It was a bike ride with her.
I'm like, I was like, so are you just like recreating all your old relationships with her, like doing the same exact stuff? Because this doesn't make you look good either.
Right? Yeah, he's just like, look, I got 5 things I do with women, so let me just once I get through 5, I just start over. Like it's fine. We got to break up.
You know what? But here's the thing, though. So it's funny that he opens up in this scene because earlier, when she says, you wrote about my life. Like I basically gave you this material. Mm-hmm. He says earlier in the movie, I had a draft before you even came into my life. And then she's like, well, would this movie have been as good if we weren't together? And he's like, no. And he's like, okay. And then she's like, so who was this movie based on again? And then he was like, oh, my cousin. She's like, oh, your cousin. Okay.
Yeah. He was like, no, at first she was like, who was it based on? He goes, after he keeps eating macaroni and cheese, he was like, people.
Yeah,
my cousin.
Yeah, people, my cousin. And then it's just interesting that he didn't take that moment to say, hey, look, no, this movie would not have been as good if it weren't for our relationship. But you are not the only person. There are other people I've been with.
You know why? Because he knows that it was a low blow. Right. He knows that it was inappropriate. Come on, yo.
There are so many moments in this movie, especially Malcolm's character, when he says something, you can literally watch in his eyes, like, I should not be saying this, but I'm already too far gone, right? And like, I've definitely been in arguments like that where I've said something, I'm like, yeah, you kind of stand outside yourself. You're like, nigga, what are you doing? Don't fucking say that. That's crazy. And then, but it's too late. It's already left your mouth. And once it's out there, it's out there. And then you got to deal with the consequences, which is why in this scene, after he goes through his DMX rant about every piece of pussy he's touched in the last 10 years, like after he does that, he immediately starts crying because he's like, I didn't fucked all the way up. Like, yeah, because you already know what you're saying is abhorrent. Like you're not allowed to do that, and you also have to think of yourself like if she did that to you, dude, ain't nobody more jealous than a dude. There's no like about past relationships. Oh, women get your. Yo, you can't even tell a dude how many men you've been with. They'll lose their mind. Is it more than one? Is it more than me? They go crazy. You go crazy. Yeah. I never want to know. I never want to know. Never want to know. I don't need fuck no. Do you? Look, all I know is those were the dark days when you were dating a bunch of knuckle dragging Neanderthals, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, look, You're welcome. I'm here now. That's it. That's it.
My wife used to date a doctor, so
Oh yeah, she fucked up now.
Yeah, she took a step down. But and that's why I don't need to know that shit.
Like a doctor, a space engineer, an astronaut, and then your ass. Like, oh damn.
I know. Look, Chris Evans and I have talked about his past relationships.
You're okay with it?
And I know he's dated plenty of models and actresses, so I know that I am like not like none of those things. But we make it work.
I mean, you mentioned Chris Evans and that, but like he legit, like one of his relationships failed because the woman he was with,
right?
People were like, "Yo, you're too ugly to be with him."
Yes.
Like,
yo, nothing makes me angrier than that story about Jenny Slate. Jenny Slate is awesome.
That's so sad, yo. That's so sad.
And they broke up because people are assholes. Oh,
I know.
He should have married Jenny Slate. She was great.
Hey now.
Sorry.
Hey.
Sorry.
Speaking of assholes, John David Washington, Malcolm, he comes up and he gives the finishing blow for this round. He comes up and he's very calm and he's very quiet and he's just like, this isn't about me, it's about you and how you are so selfish that you don't love yourself and you want to bring yourself down, so you got to bring me down with you,
right?
And have me second guessing everything that I'm saying, and
right.
and it's a form of negging, dude. And it's
and he also points out that the way he phrases it is actually even more dangerous, right? He's saying exactly what you're the point you're making, but what he says is, the one thing in the film that is you is that this part at the end of the girl who cannot accept that someone loves her for who she is, that she just never got over that. And I was like, yo, why don't you just go to the kitchen and stab her right there? Because that is like the most brutal shit I've ever heard.
Yeah. And it makes it seem like he's saying like, my love, mine, is the only good thing that you have going on in your life. And I'm just like at that moment, I'm like, girl, you don't need him, which is interesting because in that same scene, he's like, I love you, but I don't need you. Whereas like out of context, that sounds great, but the way that he's saying it sounds like he's just like gaslighting her.
Like I'm doing you a favor.
Yeah,
right.
it is definitely a form of gaslighting and like some like pretty harsh gaslighting. But you're right. Out of context, that is actually a really beautiful thing to say to someone. I don't need you. I love you. Right. But in their dynamic, like that is not their dynamic. It's such a back and forth of I need to be wanted, like wanting to be needed. Like that's all it is. But yeah, outside of that context, that's a dope line to say to somebody. Like, look, I don't need you because I don't require you
to be complete.
Be complete. Right. I'm with you because I love you. And yeah, it's a dope line, but yeah, in that context, I'm like, yo, that is a terrible thing to say to her.
Right.
And yeah, he wrecked her pretty emotionally so bad in that scene where she's just sitting in the bathtub, and I was like, she don't look happy. Like that just fucking was horrible.
But she starts smiling, right? And he's like, you're smiling like a clown because you like to be eviscerated and talked down to. You want to be treated badly. And I'm like, but this is not a reason for you to talk to her this way.
Yeah, but I agree. But he's also 100% right. Like she has a serious deep-seated need for like, that's why like they'll finish a conflict and then they'll cut back to her and she's like, I want to fight some more.
Other thing you said? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, but I find it interesting that you think like, oh shit, here we go. Like she's that meme, right? Like,
yeah.
Like, nah, I'm fine. And then like 5 minutes later, she come out guns blazing.
Yeah.
Like, can we just go to bed? It's 3 a.m. I've had 4 scotches and I'm tired.
Nah, fuck that.
Yeah, like basically. I've never had an argument like this. This is a world-ending argument, right? Like I don't know. I like that the way the movie ends because you have no idea what's gonna happen, right? They don't wake up and it's like, oh, you want eggs? Like, you good? Like you don't know what's gonna happen with their relationship because by my personal experience, oh no, we are all the way done.
Yes,
we have to be done after this.
Right.
Like
But
this
if
the
he
one you
fucked
just go file the fucking divorce papers the next day. Like fucking
Yeah, but you're also a right thinking person. Like these two people are
completely messed up.
codependent.
Yeah.
right. I have to say one thing, and this is gonna maybe sound a little weird. I was shocked that there was no violence in this.
I was pleasantly surprised that there was no physical violence.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Right.
Like because they're like, yo, there's a couple lines. I'm like, yo, is he like, oh, like somebody getting smacked, like somebody gonna get hit. Like it's just what I thought. And it's not because they're black. There's none of that. It's just the emotion was so raw in some of those scenes. That's where you expect people to just lash the fuck out physically.
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad they just. I mean, it wasn't like what they did was like that much better than that. But yes, physical violence is another aspect. I'm glad just never got brought up.
And also I don't think they throw anything, like throw any plates or, like there was none of that. It was just pure words.
You guys ever thrown anything during a fight? Tiara?
No.
She like, you trying to count how many plates it was?
No. I've never thrown anything at someone. Like I've thrown things when it's just myself and I'm like reeling from an argument. But no, I would never do that to someone.
Okay.
Never.
Micah?
I've stabbed a wall before.
I remember that.
Yeah, but you know, that relationship was over.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, I hope there was no one on the other side of the wall.
There isn't now.
No, she went to Boston right after telling me that she didn't want to marry me anymore, and then immediately left for Boston.
I'm going to a video game conference. I gotta
to
go.
fucking PAX East. I'm never gonna forget that shit, yo. I'm never gonna forget it.
Yeah, me either. All right, so you need help moving out?
You know,
And then called Jay to make sure that I didn't kill myself.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, she called me. I want to make sure is he all right. I'm like, bitch, get off my phone. Get off my phone. I gotta go help my friend get a U-Haul truck. I gotta go.
You know, there are some exceptions on when it's like okay to use a person's past traumatic experiences against them, and I feel like that's one of them.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Like if
don't do that to me.
Like, don't do that if you want this to be a thing tomorrow. But if this is a world ender, I'll let her just take the gloves off. Like, man, like you can go balls to the wall, except if you have kids. Not acceptable then. You gotta keep some semblance of like, I'm gonna have to talk to your ass for the next 18 to 27 years. So let me make sure it's not completely destroyed.
I don't have any kids, so
I'm
gonna take your word for it.
Nah, when you ain't got no kids, you go balls to the wall. You say whatever the fuck you want. Remember on January 1st, 2005? I hated that ice cream that you gave me. Fuck you. Be like, God damn. I made that.
So Zendaya or Marie is she needs to get her confidence back. She needs to get her, her energy back. So she plays a song by Dionne Warwick called like "Get Rid of Him" or some shit like that.
Fuck that.
The lyrics are like, is this nigga worth the tears you crying, girl?
She put it on her phone and set it next to him, like, listen to it.
And they listened to the song for like 2 minutes, yo.
Yeah.
My man got up and was like, fuck this.
Like, enough of this.
It's like, look, I follow Dionne Warwick on Twitter too. Enough. I've had enough. That shit was kind of funny. And she's just looking at him like, you listening? You got it? You got all the lyrics? Get rid of him. Oh no, get rid of him. Like, that's fucked up.
So, as we do between rounds, we have the ring girl come out, and and the ring girl in this case is the white film critic from the LA Times, right?
Yeah.
And this is one of those scenes where we get a break from the argument. Two of them come together, and they're looking for he's looking for his phone.
That shit was funny. Fuck.
Yeah, it was funny.
It's a paywall. Where's my wallet? He was so mad.
You don't have your credit card information saved in your phone? No, I don't trust that shit.
I don't trust that shit. Yeah, that's hilarious.
I'm like, nigga, you old.
Mike and like, I don't
wife,
trust
my,
that.
my wife said, I don't trust it either. I was like, oh, all right.
No, I don't save my credit card number in my phone. You out of your mind? Oh, see, that's how they get y'all Gen Zers. Get out of here.
I'm a millennial.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, that y'all too. That's how they hack y'all TikToks or whatever. I don't know.
I don't use TikTok. I'm 30. I don't do.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're not
Those
allowed
are for
to.
children.
Yeah, you have to do scissoring or whatever they call it. Under 20.
What?
No, isn't it?
Scissoring?
No, what's the dance? Not that, you fucking creeps. No, the dance, right?
Flossing?
Flossing, that's it.
That's the song. Yeah. Tiara, you do some trimming, don't you, Tiara? It's trimming, right?
See, I'm old. Fine, I'm sorry. Flossing. I apologize. I'm glad I didn't say what I was going to say. It was like, yeah, the dance the kids are doing. Like, that is not called scissoring.
Yeah, the dance that the kids are doing. You know,
Scissoring.
scissoring.
Scissor me timbers.
No, I don't floss,
Yeah.
Jay. I don't do that either.
I think you're lying, but that's fine. That's fine.
So this is, I think, the part where film critics are really mad.
Ooh, they don't like
film
this.
critics in the real world are really mad at this film, because for the next
10 minutes.
10 minutes, John David Washington's character is pretty much going on a rant. Basically that it's a pretty epic rant, and if you are interested in film and or criticism of it, you will go one way or the other. And if you are amateur film critics like us, you will probably be like, that boy right. And if you are professional film critics, you probably will be like, fuck him forever.
Yep.
But I thought it would, but no matter how you fall on it, it is interesting. Yeah, again,
I mean, go ahead.
As interesting as I find this, again, if this 10, 15 minutes wasn't in it, I wouldn't feel bad about it, right? Like, I don't feel like I would have missed anything from the actual film.
I think, like, I also think that if we're being honest about how the film is being received, I don't think critics would be nearly as hard on it either.
I agree. Yeah,
I think they'd be like, this is a tour de force. These people were all like acting. It's amazing. Da da da. But the second you step outside of that film to criticize real world film criticism, nah, fuck that. That's, how dare you? That's my thing. I criticize you. You don't criticize me. And then they take it super personal.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, his rant is about, he gets this positive review, but it's like a positive with an asterisk, where it's like, well, Malcolm is, is giving I forget the word they use, a masterwork, this is a masterwork and everything else, but it lacks some level of like femininity, and like they start to sort of shoehorn it in as a black film, which is not what he was trying to make. He didn't want to make a political film. He just wanted to make a movie about a woman, coming out of her drug addiction. But the reviewer, while giving a positive review, is basically like, well, this is all about them, the black struggle in the mental health industry, and da 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 da, which is exactly what he said they were going to do to him if they actually liked the movie. And so he's furious about it because he feels like they're pigeonholing him as an artist, and he's not allowed to actually have a wider scope. Which I don't think that's a wildly unique perspective by black directors. I assure you, it's not.
Now let me ask a couple questions. One, do you think his criticisms are valid, and do you think Malcolm is just a character who just does not take criticism well?
Yes. Both. I think both are true. I think he has no ability to take criticism well at all.
Yeah.
Which
like,
may be Sam Levinson's issue too. I don't know.
Right. Like let's I
be
know
honest
we're pointing the mirror back at them, but like we can also point it right back at us, right?
Right,
Like,
absolutely.
Yeah, especially me. I can't take criticism. That's why I don't read all them fucking YouTube comments.
I read them and I get very angry.
But also,
Yeah.
Jay, you like to argue. So
No,
it's
but
like,
I don't. I don't even respond to 99% of them. I really don't.
Yeah.
I want to. I want to say really mean things to people. I do. I really do. But yeah, I don't.
Right.
I don't mind criticism if people don't agree with you.
Right.
I don't like personal attacks. Right, like that's the type of shit will get your comments deleted off our YouTube channel. I won't even lie. If people are like, these guys are fucking idiots, delete. Fuck you.
Right.
Just fuck you. Or that I don't like when older people say we don't get movies because we didn't like something that they like. That's not a criticism. Well, I like this movie and y'all just didn't get it. That's not a criticism. Like, okay, you liked it. That's fine. Sorry. I don't think, what the fuck is that movie?
The Mac.
The Mac. People still get so mad. I turned the fucking comments off on that because people were like, no, y'all don't understand it. I'm like, I just don't think it's a good movie. Sorry. I don't think it's a grand conspiracy. I just don't think it's a good movie. I just don't. It's okay. It's okay if you like it. I don't.
Right.
It's not because I wasn't born in the 70s. Some movies came out in 1975 that are great. There are movies that came out in 1985 that are shit. Like, it doesn't mean anything. I could see a movie when I'm 20 years old or see a movie when I'm 40. I don't have to like it. It is what it is. Also, my personal experiences are different than yours. It's okay. So I don't mind the idea of criticism. Like, some people will say, well, here are things I disagree with you guys about, the things that you've said. It's perfectly fine. That part doesn't bother me. Personal attacks is what bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Like, I am sensitive about the work that we do because I think we take it, largely serious, except for certain movies like The Mac, which is terrible. But people like it or they don't like it. It's okay. But I can't imagine what that's like making a film and then having that critiqued and ripped apart. I cannot imagine what that's like.
Right.
Yeah, that's years of your life, man.
Yeah.
That's years of your life. Especially if you wrote it, like if you're just some, director for hire.
And you're like
whatever, I know I'm making a bad movie.
Yeah.
But if this is your baby, you know what I mean? Like, I get it.
Yeah, I can understand why Sam Levinson is like, eat all of the bag of dicks, assholes. I wrote and directed this movie and I worked my ass off over it. I can totally understand. Right or wrong, right? Like, it doesn't, whether he's correct or not, I can understand why you would have that feeling.
So there was a part in his rant that made me think of you two specifically, and it was when he said,
"Oh boy,
people people don't want to take chances or risks when watching films. Like, people want to feel safe."
Mm-hmm.
And it made me think of both of you guys because both of you have said on either this show or the other TMP shows how audiences sometimes don't know how to watch a film and understand, like, it doesn't have to make you feel good inside. Sometimes it just has to make you feel what it's intending you to help make you feel.
Yeah. Art is designed to make you feel something.
Right.
Yeah. Indifference means that it is bad art to you, right? That doesn't mean it's bad art all the way. But yeah, if you watch a movie and you're like, I feel nothing for this, or not the intention that they tried to, then I think you failed as an artist. But to that one person, I don't think that is universal necessarily.
Yeah.
I mean, this movie works for me in so many ways because I think it is telling its own story. And then it's also telling the story of the movie in Hollywood at the time, which is also weird, and complex, because it's like, while I agree with his statement that people don't take risk in watching movies and like want to take risk in criticism and take risk in watching movies, you have people coming out and saying, don't watch this with your significant other. That's not taking risk. That's exactly what he's talking about. Like, you should watch it. It should invoke something in you. Like, if you watch this movie with your significant other and you both end up going, fuck you, I hate you, I want to break up, it ain't the movie that broke you up.
Right.
It's not. Right. You have a deep-seated issue that you need to deal with. But what it should do is go, damn, this is like some good ass acting. This is like deep, really deep conversations. My wife and I watch A Marriage Story. That movie is about a couple breaking up, and it is sad and it is brutal in moments, like really brutal dialogue and shit like that. We watched it and we ended the movie. We're like, that was a really good ass movie. You want to go to bed? Yeah, all right. Like, that's it.
And there's no like neat ending to that film either. And they're not screaming at each other at the end of that movie, but they're also not friends either. They're just trying to be civil for their kid.
Right.
So and I think that's what he was getting at. Like, not everything has to, like, sometimes you may watch a movie and at the end of it you're like, yo, that was really sad and depressing, and just because I feel sad and depressing does not mean that the movie is bad, that the directors didn't get it. And that's what I think he was getting at in this scene.
I mean, it's also a criticism of American audiences specifically. Like, foreign films have no problem in it and be like, that's just fucked up. It just is what it is. That's what life is, right? Like, life does not always end in this perfect way. Like, Mike and I reviewed The Little Things, right? That movie, Micah made a very good comment in that review, which is we are conditioned for it to work out a certain way. Those type of movies to work out a certain way, to have a definitive ending, and you know all the answers. And people, I think part of the reason people didn't like that movie, and I think Micah's right, is because it was ambiguous.
I haven't finished it yet. I started, but I haven't finished.
But it's an ambiguous ending, right? But and a good ending, by the way, I would argue. But it has an ambiguous ending that makes you question it. This movie has an ambiguous ending because you don't know what happens to them.
Right.
So I think that risk of like jumping out and watching foreign films and stuff like that, or watching films that push the limits, like U.S. films that push the limit, that's a good thing for movie watchers. I think it's a very good thing.
Right.
So next round, basically, they are like they're getting hot and heavy, right? And Malcolm is like, all right, hold on, I gotta get ready because we about to fuck. Like this is the only thing that I've wanted all night besides that macaroni and cheese. Right?
Yeah,
and he goes to the back to get ready or whatever, and see Marie laying there on the floor, and then a single tear comes out, and then she's like, "Can I ask you something?" And you not make me feel like shit about it.
This is horrible. This is horrible. Don't ever do this to people. I hate shit like this. I hate it. And Malcolm is just like, fuck. So close.
And shit, like you could hear the blood draining from his penis.
I mean, like, it was funny because you watch him and he's just like, okay, fuck.
I thought we were done. I thought we were fine, and here we like. All right,
and it's a question, and we'll get to the question in a second. It's a question. It's a no-win, yo. It's a no-win. It's a no-win situation.
She basically is like, why didn't you cast me in this movie that is partly inspired by me? And he's like, and instead of answering the question, he's like, so that's what this has been about the whole time?
Never. Don't answer a question with a question. I've learned these rules. This is not acceptable. This is not acceptable behavior.
And then he had the nerve to call her jealous. I was like, oh Lord.
He was like, you just jealous? And she's like, nah, yo, I just, all these people giving all this adulation and
a little bit. She a little bit jealous. She a little bit jealous.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not like, come on now. Like, because she hates that lead actress. She ain't fuck with her. She ain't fuck with her at all.
No, she really didn't. And they're like, and she's like, all these people telling me how good this is. And, I didn't mean to give all that away. Like, this is personal to me. I didn't mean to give all that away for free or whatever. And she's like, you're so good at fighting. Like, you couldn't fight for me to get the role, and I forget why. I think she just didn't have a good audition or whatever.
Yeah, she basically like when she went to apply, she just like didn't put her all into it.
Right.
And it's it's a fucked up scenario to be in, and she's super emotional about it, and she's incredibly vulnerable, and
Yeah.
and then she's like, yo, hold up, yo, you fake ass, fraudulent ass nigga. Like, nah, yo, you just didn't want to share the credit. You didn't want to share the credit with me because now everybody's all up on your dick. And if I was in it, they'd have been all up in my pussy, right? Like,
What?
like
that was the part I was like, wow. I was like, wait.
I was like,
how did we get here?
You know,
like,
see, but men are stupid, women are crazy.
Like
this is exactly when I sent you that.
Oh, is it?
This is it.
Because it's like, whoa, wait, where are we? I lost track of the madness.
Like, because it was at this part where I was like, is this related to the whole "you didn't thank me in your speech" thing? Because this doesn't feel related at all.
Yo, she called that dude a fake ass, fraudulent fucking con man. I'm like, God damn. My man is like, yo, I'm just trying to have my 5th whiskey. Can you please leave me alone?
And then,
also,
go ahead.
I was gonna say also, like, that is noticeable. He's been drinking a lot in this film, and I don't think she's had one sip of anything. So,
No, yo, she's clear headed in her aggression.
Yeah, and he's just like saying shit because alcohol, probably mostly.
No, but alcohol is just allowing him to say some deep seated shit that he believes. Like that's all. It's just allowing that shit to flow right out of his mouth. And this is why if you get into a big argument, don't continue drinking. Stop that. Try to sober up. Get your wits about you. This is a bad move.
So they get into an argument about the film where it's like, you know, she basically is like, well, if this movie was based partially on me, I should have been cast because I am authentic. You are not authentic. I am authentic. And he's like, of course you would say that the movie that you think you're authentic because that's the only thing you offer is the life experience, but you don't know. You don't know that's what people say when they don't know what the fuck they're talking about when they're talking about movies, right? Like,
I like this rant. I like this rant a lot.
Yeah, I like this one a little more than the Act 2 rant. But it is it's basically this is basically more of, I felt like this was more of a commentary on like stuff that everybody says about film, not just the people who are paid to know about film, but because everyone's a critic, right? Like that's a phrase, right? It's an idiom for a reason. Everybody's a critic. And it's, you know, like Citizen Kane was panned when it came out. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And now people refer to that as the best film to ever have been made. Yep. So people don't know what the fuck they're talking about, right? To quote
a great movie, people don't know what they want until you give it to them.
Shut up. This is not a great movie. It's a great actor, not a great movie.
I don't know what movie that is.
It's from the RoboCop reboot, which is not good. But it's by Michael Keaton, and it is a fucking fantastic line. It was absolutely true.
And he's basically saying like, you know, going back to his argument about her quitting being an actress, right? Like, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and you don't know what you're doing, which is why you weren't hired to be in this role. Right. And they both end this argument by saying, "I hate you" to each other.
I hate you, and then like growling at each other. Like she screams, and then he's just like, arr, arr! Like he just starts like barking. That shit was hilarious to me. And the very next scene is fucking amazing. I absolutely loved it.
Yep.
Marie comes back.
You know, you knew what it was.
Right.
But it was still good.
I didn't. You know I was so like enthralled in it. I was enthralled. I just like, I wasn't paying attention.
We called it the second she picked up that knife. She was like, "Come on, yo, you ain't, nah." Because on some level,
he believed it. Look at his face in that scene. He believed it.
Of course, he believed it. He said, he's because look, she comes out with a butcher knife, right? The weapon of cancers everywhere, right? And
Yeah, come on.
And she's like, where are the pills? Like, I've never been clean, and he's getting freaked out, and it's like she's fallen off, right? Like she's
Right.
snapped, and she's like, where are the pills? And he's like, I'll tell you where the pills are. Just put the knife down. And she puts the knife down slowly, right? And she gets up and she flips him off and says, "That's what authenticity gives you."
That was great.
I mean, that was some good ass acting, yo. Because I was like, oh, I see what you did there. But I was like, I was so wrapped up in their environment. I was just like, I don't know what's happening. Please don't stab yourself. Like, I don't need that. Like, that's all I can think. Like, please don't, or try to stab him. I mean, maybe.
And Malcolm said the same thing that I said. Well, if you did that shit, why didn't you do that in the audition?
Right.
Because I'm like, yo, you would have got the role. Yo.
Yeah,
you would have got the role.
that shit was awesome.
The movie is winding down a bit, and you know, they're in this weird like we're so fucked up, let's have sex, right?
Yeah,
like,
I get that.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it. Like, I've seen
TR, your face. I don't understand
it, but
I don't.
I've never been in a relationship. I've never been in a relationship of like screaming and then like sex. No, that's never happened.
It's a trope, right? It's a trope
right.
that you see.
But some people really do live in relationships like that.
But it's a trope because it does happen.
Yeah.
Right.
I do like how she's like, I just want to talk about this. And like, she's got her mouth like near his face. He's like, I really don't want to talk about that at all. Like, I'd rather we just didn't talk about any of this. It can wait. I assure you. Please continue. Yeah. And like, there's a whole argument about like, you know, what does he say? Like, they have a whole argument about mystery, right? Where he throws it in her face about, you know, like, oh, you know, all these women I slept with, the fucking DMX rant. And she was like, I wouldn't do that to you because I respect the mystery of all of that shit that went on before me is what made you who you are. And I'm okay with that. I accept you for who you are. I thought that was a pretty powerful statement. And then he called her exhausting. He was like, will you be this exhausting at 70? So,
but he's also like, will you be this exhausting at 70? Like, but in his mind, they are still together at 70.
Right.
Yeah.
50 years from now.
I mean, that's the thing is, as fucked up as they are, as fucked up as their relationship is, and it is deeply, deeply fucked up, they still love each other.
Right.
Like, very much. It is not bullshit. It's not like, nigga, I don't fuck with you like that. Like, no.
Right.
Like, they probably will stay together until they're 70, and they will have one of these blow up fucking rants like once a month to keep shit fresh.
He's like, he has his mouth by her feet, and he's like, yeah, you know, we should we should just get married and divorce a couple of times.
He's just like, let's get started right now.
Yeah, we're bound to do it, so let's just get started now.
And she's like, nah. No,
I don't feel like that right now. I actually went out with a woman who married a guy, got divorced, and remarried him, and then got a divorce again. I was like, "What, you ain't learned your lesson the first time? What the fuck? This nigga's the same person."
It's gotta cost a lot of money, right?
Like, I gotta go to the courthouse.
Are divorces expensive?
I don't know. I hope to never find out. Fuck that. I'm cheap in that way. We ain't getting a divorce. That shit's expensive. Let's go down to Puerto Vallarta or whatever and do it for like $58. Like, no.
Wow.
No. Ha ha ha. I'm not kidding. No. You ain't taking half of my shit. Get out of here.
So the film ends with Zendaya giving the best performance that she's given in the film. It's basically like, all of this could have been avoided if you just acknowledged me. Like, just acknowledge me. And, she goes off and she says, it gives a long example of how he could have done it, right? Like, thank you for all the little things you do, for all the big things you do. Thank you for being on drugs and getting clean.
Yeah.
Just thank you. Like, that's it. Like, if you just would have acknowledged that I exist in your world, all of this could have been, we could have avoided all of this.
Yes,
but she just wants to be seen.
Yes, right. She does. But I think it's a little bit more fundamental than even she presents. Yeah, you might have been able to avoid the argument tonight.
Right.
But it is a fundamental to, he needs to do that if you're going to be in a relationship for, going forward.
Till you're 70.
Right. Yeah, and also, like, there's that, he's becoming a big name too, right? So if you don't handle this right now, when he gets his first good review, what is it going to be like when people are kissing his ass on the regular?
Right. Or when he goes up for an Oscar and forgets to say that shit. Yeah, I bet you won't. I bet you had it tattooed on your fucking hand from then on out. Like, don't forget Marie. Like, oh shit. But it's a great performance. Like it like that, she just goes, and he doesn't say anything. He just sits there and he just takes it because he knows he's fucked up. Yeah. Well, he fucked up. Look, I'll tell you something right now. I don't give a fuck if you are with a guy who is a reasonable guy. Moments like this, a reasonable guy wants to hear this shit and feels horrible to know that a person that they care about thinks of them in the way that she thinks of him, right? Like, if a guy's like, no, fuck all that, I don't care. No, like, that's not an acceptable behavior. Like, you're supposed to feel something if somebody says something like that. That says the worst thing about you and the best thing about you tonight is the best you're ever going to be. Like, that's a devastating thing to say to someone.
God.
Like, you are stuck and you will never be different. That's all, and it hits him. Like, it hits him in a way that I think is quite powerful. But I like that he didn't say anything. He just fucking took it because she's right.
Right. Yeah. What can you say to that?
You wildin'. I mean, like, what else can you say?
Bitch.
Yeah. Besides,
after all of this, after all of this, like, but you're nothing without me. Like, nah, like,
nope.
Nah, she broke your ass all the way down. Like,
she ended it.
Yeah, she like he might have gotten a couple of like good rounds in. Nah, she had the knockout at the end of this thing. It was over.
And I like how she flipped it because she was like, I am the last person standing.
Yeah.
Me. Yeah. Not all these other folks. Me. I am the person. Kind of flipping the script on him, and then she just walked off the bed.
Yeah. He had to eat that. Damn, I ain't never lost an argument that bad. Woof. Jesus Christ. Yeah, no, it was brutal.
The two of them go to bed, and they wake up the next morning, and we see Marie just looking out onto, Malibu, and Malcolm walks out there with her, and then it ends, and you don't know what happens.
Right.
But yeah, I enjoy this movie. I enjoy this movie very much.
Yeah, I look forward to watching this with my wife and see what she thinks.
Just, communicate and appreciate the person you're with and say fucking thank you.
I'll make the face like Malcolm. Why I gotta do that? I thank you 1,000 times in private where nobody can hear it. What more do you want?
Like, damn, Gina, I said I was sorry. I said thank you. Are you happy now?
I mean, that's exactly what the fuck that was, yo.
Like, wow, like that was. I feel so appreciated by that. Thank you for showing that you see me as a human being and that I contribute to your work, even though you made me review 7,000 drafts of this fucking movie.
Yep. I mean, I guess fundamentally, I wouldn't even. I mean, I could easily make the argument that this is about appreciating your significant other, right? Like that's obvious.
Right.
But I also think fundamentally, it is about men being emotionally incapable, or not even incapable, but emotionally very stunted when it comes to being with a woman, and realizing their contribution, right? Like so many times men are like, I made this company by myself. You didn't do anything.
Yep.
And here he is, like in that first like 12 minutes, he's just like, yo, I'm the shit, son. I did it all. I did everything. I wrote it. I directed it. I was the key grip. I did everything. And not once, even before she points it out, not once, he's like, we made it. Right. Like he didn't have that. And because of that, like it was a fundamental to how he viewed their entire relationship.
I mean, even during the argument, after she called him mediocre and she says, I regret you, like you're bringing up my trauma to my face and I regret sharing so much of me with you. And then she's in the tub and then he comes over. He's like, so what you mean I'm mediocre? And she's like, really? That's what
thing? That's what you got out of it?
That's what you got out of it? Like,
yeah, but he's an egomaniac. Like he is. And she has like learned helplessness in a way. Right. So it's, I don't know, man. I really dug these two characters because they aren't easy. Like I like that about them. Yeah, he's an egomaniac, but he has real love for her. He just doesn't, he's so emotionally stunted that he doesn't know how to just be like, you are the shit publicly. And I wouldn't be the director or the man I am without you. Like he's just incapable of that because he has to be like, I did that shit, man, shit. Like, no, this is an awesome film.
Men.
I know, right? The worst. Trash. Oh, trying to get us banned. That's hate speech. Yeah. So
yeah,
stellar film in my opinion. So
very nuanced and complex.
Yeah. Does this feel like a black trauma film? Are we not allowed to watch this as black people? Do we have to put this in the category of black trauma?
I think people who use the term black trauma just refer to like slave films.
Right.
But like there are plenty of, like I saw that list, like set it off as a trauma film, guys. Like
3 out of the 4 people die. Like,
right. Like it's that's pain in that movie, man.
So was Soul. I mean, that white woman stole that black man's body, even though she's not white, but wait, whatever. Jamie's face.
I have not finished Soul, but I was thoroughly enjoying it until you niggas on the internet ruined it. We can't have nothing, yo. We can't have nothing. They make another movie in LA about people shooting each other. Oh, we got to see this. Like, what about this movie? It's really good.
But I would say this. It's nice to see black people do a film like this where it's not necessarily race specific, like, but everyone should be able to see some part of themselves in this or take some sort of message after watching this film. So more black folks doing stuff like this.
Yeah, I like that we're pushing not the limits, but we're pushing what the preconceived notion of what black films are. Like,
right.
Like in the same way, and not that I think these are comparable like directly, but in the same way people were like, wow, Atlanta is such a wildly different black show than other black TV shows. And it's like, yeah, those type of TV shows have existed forever. Right. You know, like what's the Aziz Ansari show?
Massive None.
Yeah, it feels very similar to me, just in the way it's done, as Atlanta is, but we're not used to seeing black people in those things. Right. So it's kind of cool to do these kind of things because then it allows black people to go, oh, okay, I see myself in that and see different styles of films. Like, yeah, everything doesn't have to be a slave narrative. It doesn't have to be a white savior narrative. I ain't no white people in this.
Wait, so are you saying that black people can do
anything?
Anything?
Anything. Black people.
Oh wow. Anything. Okay. Well, great. That's. I mean, I can't wait until there's like a podcast that breaks down all different types of black films.
Yeah, nobody's gonna listen to that.
Yeah.
Those niggas probably don't even like the Mac. That's what I've
Or
heard.
Belly.
No, we don't. And I will never apologize for that. That movie stinks. Fuck a book, nigga. That's a real line in that movie. Africa is far. So that, I think, is it for episode 192 for Malcolm and Marie. Again, you can watch this on Netflix, and you should. So keep promoting these type of movies. Like, I think it's good. I think it's good to stretch what we perceive as being things that we can be in and telling our stories. All right, that's it for us, and we will see you guys next week for another preview episode.
See ya.
Bye.
You're watching the Black on Black Cinema YouTube channel. Make sure you check out our full reviews of Black movies, past and present. And every other week, we do a preview episode where we talk about a random topic that affects the Black community.